Hello, welcome back. And I am a little bit more dressed up because I plan to go out. But before I go out, I decided to at least, do another entry. One of the things about planning ahead of time to edit your videos is that it does give you time to not only edit it, but also make me look back and it's like, oh wait, this is the last entry I have for video. Let me record another one. So it's really good in that aspect. It let me stay on schedule, even though it compared to my old schedule, it's kind of slipping. It looks like I'm slipping, but I think this is best for me, and it doesn't overwhelm me, and then still let me have my times a moment to reflect of what I've been doing in the past 2 weeks or so. This might be a little bit more than that, because I think I have edited. The last one I edited was like 3-4 weeks, about a month. But now I'm a little bit more going to 2 months because, as I said, I already edited my last entry, and this is my only newest entry. So by the time I edit this one, it'll be another 2 weeks. So I had to make another one anyway. So now I'm gonna a little bit more of a schedule, how much I need to update or reflect. So now let's reflect on what happened past more than almost a month, I think, or something. Or maybe less than that. Anyway. So, I also realized what I have been doing and haven't been mentioning. So, let's start with my birthday. My birthday passed and I celebrated it with my sisters. Although my dad wasn't in the best condition, so I hadn't much planned at all. If anything, my sister tried to make it best by buying me a cake. I really want a halal food. It was disappointing that the halal food we wanted, because it was late at night, didn't come. So we had to change where we ordered it, because of course I think it was not Grubhub. Is it Grubhub? Yeah, Grubhub didn't have people around the area to pick up the food, so it was they didn't even make it, so it was not worth it. As I was saying, where was I going? Oh, but I still had a cake. Still managed to get some kind of halal food thanks to DoorDash. I think it was DoorDash, or was it no, it was Uber Eats. Thanks to Uber Eats. Still got food. We saw halal food. It was delicious. It was good. I enjoyed it. I had falafel gyro. Falafel gyro. Sorry. And then, because I wanted just to watch a movie, because that's what I want to do, my sister had a complaint of what the movies to watch, so I was like, okay, fine, we're going to watch Castlevania. I always want to watch it anyway, so I watch it for my birthday. But before my birthday, the day before my birthday, it was the last day of the exhibit, so I finally went to, because every time I walked past, I said I wanted to see it. Finally went to see it, the African exhibit fashion, and that inspired me so much in terms of ideas of how I want the fashion to be, at least on the western side of the hemisphere. The eastern side of the hemisphere is still going to be more European-ish, mixed with another culture. By the way, African is going to mix with Indian and another culture, so it's like 3 different cultures, so it's not like directly African. So there's that. Middle Eastern, which is still close to Africa. So anyway, I digress. Today I plan to go to the library, but before that, let's also reflect some more. What else I did and I recorded and didn't talk about? Oh, I'm still working on my corset, but I'm slowly going through it, so not much progress, but I'm taking it apart. I've been taking some parts of it apart, so whenever I have a little bit of free time and I don't feel like drawing, I work on my corset. Also, I keep changing which story I want to work on. So before I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to work on these stories. Now I'm like, you know what? This story is actually very long, despite my effort to make it short. But in compared to this other story that I'm working on, this other story that I jotted down in like 5 minutes, the first draft, is much shorter in comparison. So I was like, let's start with that one. And then even when I did the second draft, which is organizing it, I was like, no, this story is actually much more shorter, so let's work on that one. So now I changed stories again, and not only for my English, but also for my Japanese. I'm like, you know what, this story is also quite long, because I was going to work on it. I'm like, you know what, since I already changed the schedule to work on it, I was like, I will work on it, but in more like, in terms of, because I realized I did have to do the second draft, which was organizing it. So it's like, actually, you know what, it's not bad. Actually, I will work on this, but I will work it on a much more slower pace while I go back to the other one, the other Japanese one, which was the zombie, which was story number 4, which was going to be story number 4 anyway. And I was like, I'm going to work back on it, but I'm going to start by doing the actual research, because I stopped doing the research for a while. Since my mother went to Dominica, she took her tablet, so I have lost drops writing and reading. So I'm going to pick that one up. Pick up the trauma book. I also have stopped reading the kids book, the kids development book. I might pick that one up again after I finish the trauma one, because then that will lead back to the other story I was writing, which was the dragon one. But I said I'm changing that one to a different one. So that number 3 is going to be the cat bookstore one. So yeah, I keep changing my stories. I still want to keep the frog one, Frog Princess, Kairo Hime, but it's not Frog Princess on Macau. But it's gonna be a series. I know that was gonna be, but this is the only one that I'm writing, so I'm fine with it. Keeping that one, sticking to that one. The other one also, because other ones are like graphic novels, so I'm just switching them out. I'm fine with switching them out. If it's shorter, I might, because I'm gonna be drawing all these panels anyway. So I'm planning these. I'm like, you know what? I almost finished the chapter, and it took me almost about finishing the chapter 1. I'm like, I have so much more chapters to go and plan. Yeah, let me dial back and do something that's shorter, quicker, in terms of like stories, shorter, so it is technically by quicker, not by work schedule, but just quicker in terms of having a deadline and getting it done. Like chapters, it'd be less chapters and stuff to plan for and do and draw. My only thing is, like, now that I'm doing it and I'm like, oh yeah, I actually forgot that I already rescheduled and replanned this. So I was like, the story in the beginning a little drags a little bit in the beginning, but then when I go back again and re-edit it again, I can go back and shorten it. That's only because I've already forgot that I already organized it. Again, I don't know where my head is. So yeah, so there's that. Also want to make room, and also planning with the going back to the business plan thing I did. I feel like I've been talking so much, but there's so much I had to plan in my head. I decided to slow that down again, because my thing that I was getting money on, my finance, was cut off thanks to the war. I'm not going to go in deep into it, but what I was counting on, no matter how little bit, I was counting on that financially. So now I have to find something else financially. And I was going back to between getting a business card, starting it, then I was like, figuring out the New York, how to register for a New York business, and I decided to dial back only just to simply just get a business account, because I want to also get my finance, just not just planning my business and plan the book, but I also want to plan my finances. I'm putting effort into that too. So, but to open an account, you need money. So again, that's why I'm dialing back. So there's a bit of slowdown, but I still feel like I get it, and so now I'm looking for jobs elsewhere. This is what you take for procrastinating. This is the payback. But yeah, I'm still procrastinating. That ain't changed. But I know I need to get it done, so I am getting it done. Anything else that I need to mention? I will probably mention in captions or whatever. So just read the bottom of this video if I forgot something. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to say about stories development. Oh, I'm Japanese. I want to quickly. So, one of the things that helps me motivate me to read Japanese is having something to read for Japanese for. But I'm like, because once now I'm getting back into like my stories, even if I'm not writing my stories, when I'm practicing it, I actually start writing, and it will also encourage me more, because I found out there's websites where you can post stories in Japanese for Japanese websites, which is very encouraging for me. So it's not just like I'm just doing this, like hitting my head against the wall. I am processing it. Also, wait, I did remember there is one more thing I want to mention. I finally finished an illustration intensive. It finished it yesterday. Another thing about SABW, now that my financials cut off. Although I remember I do get a discount, but I'm not sure I could afford a lot of them. I already spent a lot of money on the very one thing that I really want to go to, was the February thing. Also with WIA, I finally penciled in on my calendar where they're having a vendorship thing, so I'm planning to go to that too. I think it's in Brooklyn. If it's in Queens, it'll be a little bit difficult for me to go or convince somebody to come with me, but I do want to go at least once to their thing. back to that CBDW. So even though, but since I'm membership, there are a few free classes, so I am taking those. Although they're not much of what I need help in, but I digress. And then with the illustration intensive, which really did help, where I drew an illustration for past 2 months. I made a mistake. It was supposed to be 2 spreads I was supposed to draw. I made a mistake and I only drew 1 because I didn't think. But I could still go back, and he did give us email, because if we didn't show our spreads, we could still show that spread later. So I might actually plan to do that spread and show it to him. Plus, I'm working on the illustration book. I might not use it for the illustration book because the look I feel I want to go for the illustration book, so I might actually change it to fit the illustration book I've been planning anyway. So yeah, all that said, I am going to reconform and go back to that sketch that I didn't plan and didn't do and get in hand in, redo it, replan it, and then hand it to him, show him. And since it is the holiday, I do have time until January to show it to him. So, and he gives a lot of feedback, and really good feedback, especially when I was doing the drawing and illustration. I probably show it to you, the final version, not this one, because I did it. Okay, I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna show you the marker. Oh wait, okay. So this is the marker illustration that is complete, and then I went over and did it digitally, where I edited over it to make it look like a nice scene, more of a nice scene with like highlights of light coming from the back from a different source, like fire or something. And she is in shadow, so my question was to make her stand out with a shadow looming over her, and it's a nice scene. How to make her stand out? And he did give you some tips, and I did change it towards it. I don't know if you're looking at me or not. And he did change it towards it. So and like his tips help. So it was actually really insightful, and he is an editor, I believe. He introduced himself an editor, but I think he works with other illustrators. So yeah, just in case. What's more? Because I don't know if you saw it or not. So yeah, so he works with to give me hints and tips of how to make her stand out, because in this illustration she does stand out, but when I put all the filtering on top of her, she gets more hidden back, and I didn't want to like emphasize the shadow so I did put a filter to help that. And yeah, but she didn't look like she was in shadow, so I had to darken her even more. So then she went too far back, so then to push her back, push her out, he gave me some tips like highlight not just only her face but also some clothes, and then darken the lines, go back in and redraw the lines on her face in a darker color, which does help her face pop out a little bit more. And then the colors, the trees around her, which was very bright, muted. And then only the shadow, but also her, will come out more. And I think it did work, but I would like to get his feedback on it again to see if it does or not, because my opinion is not that great. Okay, so that's it. And also I finally joined an illustration critique. It is online only, but let's see how that goes. Anyway, that's it for me. I don't know, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for now. Oh, I also draw some critique groups, and it did help. The first time I did it, I think because of how my formatted, they didn't give me much of feedback. I went back to the same group with double space, and they gave me back the feedback that I needed, was that I used too much he and she in my story, and that makes it sound more of a, they said, a police report, which was the feedback I needed and I wanted to hear. They didn't seem too much that I wrote too much detail, which is great. I'm like, good, I'm on the right track for that. So when I said it sounds cinematic, because of like I used to writing graphic novels, so that's how I probably see, so that's how I write. But it should best if I use less like things that make it sound like a report and make it more flowy. So now I'm going to try to focus that, and that is my biggest challenge now, because I'm like, oh, I used to do that when I was younger, but now, especially when I used to read books so much, I don't read as much. But I have been reading a book, that's not Japanese, and I would like to share it and talk about it in another video. So I will wrap it up here, officially. Okay, thank you for sticking around for me for however minutes this video is. Bye!